Hola amigos de YouTube, estamos en un nuevo vídeo de Stanley Parable. Y bueno, vamos a empezar.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a
Vale, ya está.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Vale.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
A ver.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Qué bonito es todo. Bueno, sigamos.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
¿Le hacemos caso? Venga, vamos por aquí.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Otro día vamos por ahí. Hay tantos caminos que jo. Por ahí no hay nada, lo mira de tiempo.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Perfecto. Seguimos.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Vale, no pasa nada.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Voy a parar y a ver qué pasa.
Sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Vale.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Esto, si pasa algo inesperado,
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
Pues ya la menciono.
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friend, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite." I hope your friends find this concerning.
A ver.
Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Ala, ala, chaval.
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. He or she has fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place at the computer, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that,
Esto es inesperado, nunca lo he visto. ¿Seguimos? Venga, vamos ya.
Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Bueno, igual le dará loco, pero bueno. Pues... Bedroom.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed
Voy a
for a few
quitar,
moments
voy a
with
cortar,
some calming new age
por la
music.
música.
And rejuvenated, Stanley calmly
¿Está?
walked forward into the opened passageway.
Vale. Hasta aquí llegué en el tutorial de antes, o de ayer. Bueno, voy a cargar. Carga. Me ha puesto a cargar.
Descending deeper into the building,
A ver.
Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his
No
job.
sé por dónde
Why did he
bajamos,
feel
por
this
aquí.
now, when for years it had
Sí,
never
ahí está.
occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Hay muchos caminos, de veras.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
No se puede saltar ni correr, solo agachar.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Empleado 312. Bien.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotion.
No estoy diciendo nada
Happy,
para que
or
se
sad,
oiga lo que
or
digo.
content. Walking,
Aunque no se
eating,
entienda, pero
working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Mamacita. A ver. No creo que veáis nada.
And a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine. Unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp?
Bueno, más lento no
What other
podría ir,
mysteries did this
Joder.
strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he
Me siento de
realized
mientras.
none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know.
Y que es una empresa justo al lado de
The
un
only
sitio
thing
maravilloso.
worth knowing.
Pues no merece la pena
Stanley
trabajar.
stepped through the open door.
Stanley caminó hacia la puerta abierta. Me quedo aquí. Vale, veo que no pasa nada.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Y yo, desde el principio, vuelvo. Cargando. Lo que yo decía. Y bueno, lo vamos a
All of
dejar
his
por aquí.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Sí, anda que
Stanley
sí.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he
Lo
had simply
dejamos
missed a
por
memo.
aquí.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Acabamos y lo dejamos por aquí porque ya vamos bien. Y bueno, espero que os guste la serie. Seguro que la hago. No como Slenderman, que solo he subido 2 vídeos. Pero bueno, espero que os guste. Venga, y hasta el siguiente vídeo. Adiós.